Fansa, done from your side, so shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very pleasant morning to all dignitaries, experts, HODs, faculties, and your students. I, Sonal Yadav, on behalf of Truba College of Science and Technology, Bhopal, welcome all the dignitaries and one and all present over here in today's online one-day workshop on the topic Understanding Internet of Things, that is IoT, with Raspberry Pi and Python under TACube 3 RGPV Bhopal. I am very thankful to our dignitaries, Professor S.C. Chaube, Coordinator TechCube 3, Rajiv Gandhi Pradyogiki Vishwavidyalay, Shri Shyam Rathore ji, Chairman, Truba Group of Institutes, and Dr. Rajiv Arya, Director, Truba Institute of Engineering and Information Technology, for their continuous support and guidance. They are always a great source of inspiration to us. That's why we had conducted many workshops under TACube 3 till now on various latest topics. Now, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Professor Manoj Tyagi, HOD CSE Department and in charge Principal, Truba College of Science and Technology, Professor Dharmendra Pathak, Assistant Professor, Chameli Devi Group of Institution, Indore, as an expert, Professor Chandan Kumar, and Professor Irfan Khan as Workshop Coordinator, Truba College of Science and Technology, Bhopal. RGPV TACube 3 is targeted to improve the quality of technical education in approximately 180 affiliated engineering institutes across Madhya Pradesh by introducing enabling mechanism for faculty empowerment, student learning enhancement, industry relations, and synergetic efforts of all stakeholders. Today, we all are virtually gathered at Truba College of Science and Technology for this workshop. Truba College carries out the quality education in the field of technology. It imparts training to students so that they become competent and motivated. Now, I feel very privileged to invite Honorable Professor Manoj Tyagi, convener of this workshop, to address and guide us all.
Thank you, madam. A very good morning to all the dignitaries, our keynote speaker, faculty members, participants, and dear students. With the sponsorship of Technical Education Quality Improvement Program 3 RGPV Bhopal, Truba College of Science and Technology organized this workshop for understanding the use of Raspberry Pi and Python in IoT applications. IoT means Internet of Things. It is creating an environment of convergence in the society. IoT is set to become a major differentiation in driving the next generation of services and products. Today, IoT is being implemented in many areas like smart city, smart environment, security, smart business process, smart agriculture, automobile, home automation, healthcare, and many more. Python. With the precise syntax and readability, Python programming language became more popular. Python is easy to learn and portable. It is an open source language and support multiple operating systems. It is perfect for the data analysis part of for the IoT. Raspberry Pi. One of the key learning platform for the IoT is the Raspberry Pi. So we decided to discuss this hottest topic through this workshop. And I welcome to Professor Dharmendra Pathak for fulfilling our wish. This is pleasure for our institute that you accepted our request and taking time out of your busy schedule to enlighten us with your knowledge and experience on the very useful topic for today's scenario, understanding the importance of Raspberry Pi and Python in IoT. I am very gratitude to all the dignitaries for taking out time from their busy schedules. I also welcome all HODs, faculty members, participants, and all students in this workshop.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to invite Professor Chandan Kumar, coordinator of this one-day workshop, to welcome our expert, Professor Dharmendra Pathak, Assistant Professor, Chameli Devi Group of Institution, Indore.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, all of you. As a coordinator of this event, I am very delighted to take an opportunity to introduce our expert, Professor Dharmendra Pathak, who is an assistant professor in Chameli Dev Group of Institution, Indore. He has completed his master's degree from School of Computer Science and IT, DAVV in. He was also university topper in his master's degree in DAVV College. He is also a research scholar at MIT School of Engineering and Technology. Actually, he is very excellent in academic, having more than 10 years of teaching experience. He has applied copyright for work title using geotagging for the detection of COVID-19 fake news from Twitter data of hotspot states using deep learning framework on June 2020. He was also a winner of Hack for Good COVID-19 hackathon that was organized by MIT University, Chhattisgarh on May 2020. He was awarded with excellence in teaching at Srijan 2019 organized by Rajiv Gandhi Technical University, Bhopal. He has qualified UGC NET in 2019. He has also having GATE scorecard and he has also qualified GATE for many years like 2015, 2014, 2010, 2009 and many more. He has also published one paper in international journal publications as well as presented more than 12 technical papers in international conferences. His area of professional skills are Linux server, PHP, HTML5, Python, MySQL database, and Hadoop. He is Microsoft certified in Python, Java, HTML5, Educator, database server, operating system, and network. He is also IM certified in DB2, National Quality Manager, Tivoli Server, and System Administrator. Now I request Professor Dharmendra Pathak to continue the session and I request all the participants to keep them mute.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Okay. First of all, thank you very much, sir, Chandan sir, for such a warm welcome, and thank you very much, respected Manoj Tagi sir, who is also professor in charge, principal in charge, and HOD of computer science, and coordinator, all the coordinators like Chandan sir and Manoj sir, for inviting me to share my knowledge regarding IoT and different boards like Raspberry Pi and how to integrate Raspberry Pi with Python, this kind of things. Uh, I would like to say that my workshop will be of two parts. First, we will try to understand the basic concepts of IoT because we are having very limited time. So we cannot, I cannot explain like deep concepts regarding IoT, but we will try to explore what are the brief concepts, applications, and how IoT works. And in my second talk or second topic, I will discuss about how to prepare a board Raspberry Pi and how we can integrate the particular board with uh, computer vision APIs like OpenCV. And I will also demonstrate you some of my projects that I basically developed, so that will enlighten all of us like how we can actually with the help of these open source APIs we can actually code IoT applications. So without wasting too much time, I will start my presentation. Is it visible, Chandan sir? Hello.
Sir, screen is not visible right now. You are visible.
Okay.
Sir, now home screen is visible to
okay.
us.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so first we will try to explore about what actually
Sir,
the
sir,
hype
could
of
you
the.
disable the annotation also?
Okay, okay, yes.
Okay, sir, it's done from your
Okay,
end.
okay, okay, yes. Ma'am. So now I will basically start my session. So in my first session, we will try to understand what is IoT means, how it works, and we will see some of the applications of IoT. So as Manoj sir clearly told that what is the basically IoT? So IoT is just a minute. So in the simplest way, we can say that IoT is basically network of physical objects, things embedded with electronic software, sensors, network connectivity, which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. So in this definition, it can be clearly seen that IoT is not a single thing. It's basically consolidation of n number of things. Like first is things. We will discuss what thing is actually. Second one is sensors. The third one is network connectivity. So with the help of these uh, hardware and with the help of software also, we can not only exchange the data but also we can process the data, and that particular thing we can use in different types of applications. So we will discuss later on what is actually things stands for. Second point is IoT allows objects to be sensed and controlled remotely across existing network infrastructure. So in first point, it is clearly said that all the things or objects are connected with each other with the help of network. So if you want to access the network, we'll be having two options. Either we can access it with the help of like locally we can access it with the help of intranet, or globally if you want to access it, we can access it with the help of internet. So both the options are available. So it is not needed like every time if you are using IoT, so internet is needed. It is not like that. For local applications with the help of internet, also we can communicate with this kind of things. And it is also possible to remotely access any IoT device which is connected to internet. So it basically creates an opportunity for more direct integration between the physical world and the computer-based system, and resulting in improved efficiency, accuracy, and economical benefit. So right now we'll be having n number of products. Like we have seen smartwatch, smart glasses. Right now, smart glasses are not in production, but the concept has already been implemented. Third one is Alexa. We all know about the Alexa. So and there are n number of products available in the market. So with the help of those products, we can improve our daily life.
Dharmen
So
sir,
next we will talk
sorry
about.
for interruption. Sir, sorry for interruption. Actually, some distorted sound is coming from your end. So could you check your sound setting?
No, from my side it is okay. Mm.
Sir,
Okay,
actually
so
some distorted noise is coming. Maybe because you are using earphone.
yes, ma'am. So I can do one thing. I think stop my video first.
No, no, sir. Please leave the earphone. Actually, you are
Okay.
holding the earphone. That's why I think it is not happening.
Okay. Is it audible now?
Yes,
Is
it's
it audible
audible,
now?
sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That might be the reason. Correct. So
It's
next,
okay.
yes. So next we will discuss about, since IoT basically stands for Internet of Things. So what that thing is basically stand for. So things in IoT sense can refer to the wide variety of devices such as heart monitoring implants, bioshield transponders and fog animals, electric lamps in coastal waters, automobiles, and built-in sensors. So the meaning of things is basically a hardware device. So that hardware device may be anything. It can be anything. It can be a router. It can be a sensor. It can be some kind of chip. It can be anything. So the meaning of thing is it's basically normal case. It's basically hardware device. So with the help of this hardware device, we are basically communicating with some kind of software, and we can develop different applications. So thing basically stands for a device, and device can be anything. Next is these devices collect useful data with the help of various existing technologies and then auto anonymously flow the data between other devices. So with the help of devices, we can collect the data. And now since we have collected the data, we need some kind of platform by which we can process the data. So that is why we need some kind of processing computing devices. Like we can use Arduino board, or we can use Raspberry Pi board, or we can use some other kind of board to process this kind of data. So next is what is the basically history of IoT. So the concept of IoT first became popular in 1999 through the Auto ID Center at MIT and related market analysis publication. So this concept first came to the light in 1990. And initially it was basically used for RFID, which is radio frequency identifier. Right now, basically we are using RFID in our for our like a toll booth for tracking our a car or something. So if you want to detect automatically payment at toll booth, we need RFID tag. So we have to apply for RFID tag, and with the help of RFID tag, automatically the toll payment will be deducted from our account. So right now we are basically using it, but initially when that particular concept invented, so it was basically invented for RFID tags only. So it was seen as a prerequisite for the IoT at that point. Now we are having n number of sensors like moisture sensor and motion detector sensor, ultrasonic sensor. There are so many sensors are available, but at that time it was basically meant for only RFID sensor. So if all objects and people in daily life were equipped with identifiers, computers could manage and inventory them. So at that particular time, it was basically meant for only RFID. Besides using RFID, the tagging of things may be achieved through such technologies as NFC, which is called near field communication, barcode, QR code, Bluetooth, and digital watermarking. So later on, there are a number of tagging also came, but at that time, only RFID were using. So till now, we came to understand about what is basically IoT. So it's basically Internet of Things. The meaning of things is it's basically collection of physical devices, and we need some kind of framework or platform by which we can communicate with these devices, and we can process the data which are collecting from these particular devices. Now we will try to understand how IoT works. So as I already told that IoT is not a particular single thing, it's a combination of so many things. So it contains sensor, it contains devices, and it basically contains gateways, softwares, embedded platforms, and different networking devices also. So these capability basically includes first is communication and cooperation. So communication among this kind of those kind of sensors and devices which are integrated with a board. Second one is addressability, so that we can easily address them. Identification, with the help of IP addresses, we can easily identify the particular devices which is in the area of IoT. With the help of sensors, we can sense them. Next one is actuation. So with the help of actuator, we can perform some mechanical operations. Next is embedded information processing. So with the help of different board like Raspberry Pi or Arduino board, we can easily process this kind of information. Second one is localization. Meaning of localization is either we can place this particular device locally or some particular place. Like in our Indore, there is a square which is called Vijayanagar. In Vijayanagar, the traffic controller basically installed a robot, a traffic robot. So with the help of this traffic robot, they can easily calculate what is the current scenario of particular traffic, and they can easily analyze the vehicle data. So this kind of localization can easily be placed. And last one is user interface, because we need some kind of user interface to manage this kind of things. If user interface is not there, then it will be very difficult to access this kind of thing. So either we are using any kind of platform, or either we are using Alexa or smartwatch or any other thing, there would be some kind of UI will be there. So in the simplest way, we can assume that we need some kind of tagging devices. In our case, suppose it can be RFID. Next one is sensor, because we need some kind of sensor to detect what is the basically information stored in that particular RFID. Next one is smart technology to process this kind of data on, and also nanotechnology. So right now we can see that with the help of nanotechnology, things are basically shrinking. So we'll be having like very small chips, very small ICs, and devices are basically shrinking nowadays. So nanotechnology can also be embedded in IoT. Next is what is the basically structure of IoT. So we can view the IoT as a gigatic network, consists of network of devices, computers connected to a series of intermediate technologies, where numerous technologies like RFID, wireless connections may act as enablers to this kind of connectivity. Because RFID is not a single thing; it's a, we can say, the network of network, just like internet. So we can also form internet or internet of this kind of IoT devices. So in the simplest way, we can say that the structure of IoT contains tagging things, like we can use RFID, other tags, NFC chips we can also use. Second one is filling things. The meaning of filling thing is use of sensors. So we need some kind of sensors to sense some kind of information out of the environment. Next one is shrinking things. So with the help of nanotechnology, we can shrink the things to more smaller and smaller, so that we can easily integrate with IoT. Because IoT are basically, we can say that it's a basically low computing devices and low power consuming devices. It is not like our laptop or supercomputers and this kind of thing. So it is not like that. Not like that. It's basically small things which is having a small computing power and small battery power, small power consumption. So it's basically all concept is basically rounded over thinking of things. And last point is thinking things. So if you want to extract some kind of important patterns or important information or any kind of intelligent information out of sensors, so we need some kind of platform. So with the help of these thinking things, we can easily process this kind of data and extract some useful information out of it. So this is, we can say, that generalized structure of IoT. So what is the current status of IoT and what is the future aspect? So right now we are in 2020. So almost world population is around 7.6 billion, and all the connected devices all throughout the world is around 50 billion. So as you can easily see, like day-to-day basis or a daily, there are a number of IoT devices which are basically produced, and people are basically using this kind of devices either in for personal use or either in industry. So as we already discussed this, IoT is not a single network; it's a basically network of networks. So this particular network contains n number of fields or n number of domains it contains. Like I have basically mentioned some of the domains, like transport. It can be used in transport or business or home automation. We can use it, or earth, like detecting some kind of earthquake or tsunami. It can also be detected with the help of IoTs, or education or energy. So you name any kind of area, and we will see that the particular IoT application is available in that particular area. So it's basically available in all the areas and all the domains. So this is a basically knowledge pyramid. So we can understand it. Like initially we collect the symbols, or we basically say that it's basically data. So when we process this kind of data, we basically came to know about certain information. So with the help of information, we are basically able to answer this kind of question, like who, what, where, and when. Then about the information, when we process the information, we came to know about the knowledge. So with the help of knowledge, we can answer this kind of questions, like how this particular thing works. So how kind of questions we can easily extract with the help of knowledge. After knowledge, a particular understanding came into our mind. So with the help of understanding, we can appreciate of why we are basically doing this. If we are basically studying IoT, why we are basically studying IoT. So first, if we need about, if we know about the basic concepts of IoT, if you develop some kind of application, then you will be able you will be able in that kind of position, like you will appreciate why basically we are studying that particular kind of subject. And top of the pyramid, basically wisdom, will basically evaluate the understanding of particular thing. So this particular pyramid is basically true in any case, in any subject or in any kind of scenario. This particular pyramid is true. So next is what is the future of IoT. So right now, as we have basically seen, like around 20 billion devices are basically connected all over the world with the help of IoT. And right now we are in the era of Industry 4.0. So in future also, we will see that in all the different domains. Like if you are talking about the agriculture, hospital, or business, or smart cities, smart home. So in every domain, IoT will be more useful, and IoT will be implemented in any domain. Like in this example, real-time network planning will be done, shipping visibility. Right now, with the help of RFID tag and different tagging mechanism, we can easily track. Like if we basically made a purchase through Flipkart or Amazon, and at any point we want to track that where our shipment is. So with help of these trackers, we can easily identify that where particular what is the position or what is the GPS location of particular shipment. Next is hospital optimization. So whenever you log into particular or whenever you visit to particular hospital, so automatically your history will be extracted from particular database with the help of IoT, and also whatever the disease and other information related to you, like your heartbeat and other this kind of information will be easily calculated with the help of IoT devices. Next is medical devices, connected machines, smart grids, or factory optimization or local logistic optimization. So in every kind of field, we'll be seeing that IoT will be used. So what is the potential of IoT? So right now, as per the GE estimation, connected machines data could eliminate up to 150 billion in waste across the industry throughout the year. So these are the industries like in aviation, power, healthcare, rail, oil and gas. So if we use IoT in this kind of industries, so around estimated value around 30 billion in case of aviation, or 66 billion in case of power, or 63 billion in case of healthcare. So this kind of $1 billion we can easily save around 15 years if we use IoT devices in this kind of area. So 50 billion is a lot of money. So we can save this lot of money easily if we are using IoT in this kind of areas or domains. And UPC type of saving we are basically done. So if we save 1% of fuel, so 1% of fuel, and we are keep saving it for 15 years, so ultimately our saving will be like $30 billion. So this particular statistics is calculated over for only 1% of thing. If you are saving more fuel, like 2%, so that 30 billion will become 60 billion. So this is the basically potential of IoT. So it will basically improve the performance, our cost will be reduced, new revenue system we can invent or we can introduce, and second is we can create the n number of innovative ideas, in number of innovative things we can innovate with the help of IoT. So next we will discuss about what are the various characteristics of IoT. So first is interconnectivity, because IoT basically network of network. So there should be some kind of protocols by which this kind of devices or this kind of constant devices should be interconnect with each other. So interconnectivity is first characteristic of IoT. Second one is things related services, because things basically contain devices, sensors, and so many things. So with the help of these things, with the help of these sensors, we can introduce different types of services. Like in case of Alexa, Alexa is basically voice controlled bot. We can say that. So with the help of Alexa, we can control our complete home. Home automation can easily be achieved with the help of Alexa. So this kind of things, by implementing this kind of thing, we can easily achieve different kind of services. Next is heterogeneity. The meaning of heterogeneity is the ability to integrate with different kind of architecture or different kind of platform. Since there are n number of boards are available, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, Google boards are also there, Amazon boards are also there. So different kinds of boards are there, different kind of programming languages are there. Like if you are doing something in Arduino, in that case you will be needing C and C++. If you are doing something in Python, in that Raspberry Pi board, so in that case you will be needing Python language. So there are n number of platforms, like Windows IoT is also introduced. Linux is having its own IoT thing. Microsoft is having its own IoT thing. Amazon, Google, IBM. So there are n number of providers. There are n number of architecture. There are n number of protocols. There are n number of devices. So we need some kind of intermediator which can communicate among these kind of devices. So it is called heterogeneity, because you cannot say that I will only use Raspberry Pi, or I will only use this kind of sensor, or I will only use Windows platform, or I will only use Linux platform. You cannot say this. So heterogeneity is also a characteristic of IoT. With the help of this, n number of platforms can easily communicate with among each other. Next one is dynamic changes. So at each point of time, the state of particular devices keeps on changing. So IoT is all about the dynamic changes. Next is enormous scale. So we can easily integrate n number of IoTs within a particular network. It basically depends on the capability and bandwidth of a particular network, but we can do that. So we cannot say that only one sensor or one device can communicate with the network. No, it is not that kind of thing. We can embed n number of things into among each other, and we can also communicate. We can basically establish some kind of communication among this kind of things. Second is safety, and last one is connectivity. So these are basically we can see the simple characteristics of IoT. Next is IoT architectural view. So there are concepts are there. So I will not discuss more about this, but I will briefly explain what is the meaning of this architectural view. So in the lowest layer, in any kind of architecture, in lowest layer always hardware lies. So in this architectural view, we can see that in the lowest layer, smart devices and sensors layers are there. So a number of devices, a number of hardware things are embedded in lowest layer, which is sensor layer. In top of sensor layer, there is a communication layer. So with the help of different protocols like Wi-Fi, Zigbee, or GSM, GPRS, so this kind of, or with the help of different gateways, we can establish communication with this sensor layer. Above sensor layer, there are different kind of UI or service layer applications by which we can manage this kind of services. Like you introduce some kind of startup, IoT startup. So you will be having n number of customers. So if you want to customize your services with respect to particular customers, so we need some kind of interface or some kind of service layer. So as you can see, there are n number of things available in service layer like access control, encryption, quality manager, device manager, data mining, data conversion. So these all kind of concepts lies in service layer, application support layer. And top of it, ultimately our actual product, that is smart living, smart city, smart energy, or some kind of smart health, smart industry. So a number of IoT applications will run top of this kind of thing. So our service support layer, network layer, and smart layer will be abstracted. So a user will not be able to understand this kind of lower layer. So these are basically abstract layer kind of thing. So these are basically generalized, we can say, the architecture of any kind of IoT application. Next is what is the IoT conceptual view. So in concept, it's quite simple. So we can see that there is an arrow, metadata. So we will start with metadata, which are basically collected with the help of different sensors, and with the help of processing, with the help of different software platform or intelligent devices processing, we came to know some kind of context. So in the lowest layer, we are basically having metadata, and after that, we'll be having some kind of context, or we can say that we will be having some kind of knowledge or wisdom about the particular data. So we will start with sensors, that is the Internet of Things, then resource management, then feature management, context management, virtualization, store management, ultimately service layer. So this is basically conceptual view of particular data, particular IoT things. So next topic is what are the basically applications of IoT. So right now IoT is basically implemented in I think all kind of domains. I don't see any domain which is not using IoT nowadays. So it's basically IoT basically implemented in almost all kind of domains like medical, agricultural, hospital, industry. So our ultimate goal of IoT is to automate human life. These are some of the applications in different domains like building and home automation. Like right now we are having a number of devices like smart bulb is there, and smart locker is there, smart door is there. So there are a number of smart devices are there by which we can easily automate the complete home. And there is a some kind of mobile app is there, either you are using Android app or iOS app. So with the help of these app we can easily control the complete working or complete control over the our home. Second one is manufacturing. Third one is medical and healthcare system, media, environment monitoring, infrastructure, energy management, transportation, and better quality for life for elderly people. So just like it said, you name it and you will have it in IoT. So in every kind of domain, we can either invent new kind of applications or the particular application is already available in that particular domain. Like in case of home consumer, light bulbs are also there, pet feeding, smoke alarm, refrigeration, washer, stove, energy monitoring. So these kind of devices are already there. For transport and mobility, traffic routing, as I've given the example of smart traffic robot in Vijayanagar Square. So these kind of things are already implemented. In shipping, with the help of different techs, we can easily track our shipment at any point of time. In healthcare, there are a number of devices are already available, like a smart band are already there, by which we can track the blood pressure and what is the heart rate of particular person. We can easily track. So different bio variables devices are already available. Next one is building or infrastructure. So in building also security, lightning, electrical thing, or if you want to control the different mechanism of all over the building, like lift management, this kind of thing already been implemented with help of IoT. And city management. So electricity distribution, maintenance, surveillance, maintenance of street light, garbage collection. So this kind of thing, waste management, been all this kind of thing is also been implemented using IoT. So these are some of the areas. So this is an example of smart parking. So if you are using some kind of RFID tag, the particular concept is already implemented in USA or in other foreign countries. So with the help of these smart tags, you can easily reserve your parking area in a mall or particular wherever you are basically going. So with the help of this RFID, we can create a revenue model of around $41 billion. So right now in India, I don't know where this particular model has been implemented, but in foreign countries it has already been implemented. Next one is waste management. So as you can see, if you place some kind of sensor over the garbage cans, so with the help of sensor, that particular information will automatically conveyed to particular garbage trucks with the help of different cloud platforms. So we can use some kind of applications like Android applications or iOS applications to take this kind of thing. And when garbage collector came to know that the particular bin or can is completely full, so it can go to particular place and collect all the garbage. So it's basically example of waste management in smart cities. So we can say that it's a basically example of sensing as a service. The same may be implemented in city council or recycling plant and manufacturing plant and health and safety authority. So in this diagram, we can clearly see that IoT applications can easily communicate with cloud, because with the help of cloud, we can implement. We heard about software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. So different kind of services can easily be implemented with the help of cloud. So it is not like that कि IoT devices can communicate only for a particular local domain or local kind of thing. With the help of internet, it can easily communicate with cloud also. So we can also place this kind of sensors in our like in this example cow also. So this particular application has already been implemented. So they have basically placed sensors in cow's eye. So with the help of these sensors, they can track where the particular cow is going or where the particular cow is wandering, and what is the particular health of particular cow, or what is the average average we can say that milk that the cow can provide. And so on average, this cow generates around 200 MB of information per year. So with the help of sensors, we can easily track this kind of mammals also. In shopping also, the particular concept has already been implemented. I don't know you heard about Amazon Go or not. Let me show you a 2-minute video of Amazon Go. So you will be having a knowledge about how this Amazon company has implemented IoT and what extent they have basically implemented it.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app. And you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
So right now Amazon Go is not available in India, but it has already implemented in USA. So as you can see, with the help of different sensors, what they have done is they can track when you log into particular shop or a store of Amazon Go, and what are the different products that you have basically bought, and automatically that particular whatever the products you will pick, that particular product will automatically be added on your cart, and with the help of Amazon wallet or some kind of payment method, the particular amount will automatically be deducted. So this kind of automation, because ultimate goal of IoT is to automate human life. So this kind of automation we can easily achieve if you understand about the computer vision or different computer vision APIs that are available in open source or paid APIs. APIs are also paid. So if you understand about how we can integrate this kind of sensors to some kind of board, and we can how to use basically this kind of sensor computer vision APIs. So this kind of application we can also develop. And one more thing is,
Dharmen sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, could you speak little bit louder, as participants are saying they are facing some issues?
Okay. Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Okay. So what I was telling is, with help of sensor and with help of if you know some kind of hardware device or board like Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and if you are comfortable with some kind of computer vision APIs like OpenCV, so you can also develop this kind of applications. One more thing is needed is deep learning or machine learning algorithm. So it's basically depends on particular area. If you are comfortable with machine learning, so it will be very easy to develop this kind of application, Amazon Go kind of application. So whatever the smart products you are seeing like Alexa, so all these products are basically built on layer of machine learning or deep learning. So since I'm doing my PhD in deep learning, so I'm comfortable with this concept. But if you are interested, like if you want to work on this particular domain, so you can also learn about the concept of machine learning and deep learning. So how many steps have you walked out? So with the help of different smart bands, we can easily calculate that. So with the help of all these kind of hardware device comes with some kind of software platform. So if you are using some kind of smart band, so in that case also you will be having some kind of API or some kind of, we can say that, app by which you can easily track what is your sleep pattern, what is your how many uh, how many steps you have taken, or what is your heartbeat. So all these kind of statistics you can easily analyze with the help of some kind of UI. So in case of Alexa also, like if you use product like Amazon Echo, so you will be having some kind of app. So Amazon Alexa app is available on Android market as well as in iOS platform. So you can download this particular Alexa app, and with the help of this Alexa app, you can control this particular Alexa. This is the next we can say that applications of IoT. So with the help of this kind of headset, we also developed one application on with the help of this kind of headset that I will explain you later. So with the help of this mind controlling headset, you can easily extract the mind signals. So there are certain signals like alpha, beta, gamma, low beta, low gamma. So these kind of brain waves are keep emerging from your brain. So if with the help of some kind of machine learning or deep learning, you can evaluate what is the meaning of this particular brain waves. So you can also develop some kind of IoT applications out of it. So we have developed one application that I will explain it to you later. So thought controlling is also possible with the help of IoT. So we have seen about what are the different applications in different domains of IoT. So there are certain technological challenges also. Like if you are dealing with IoT or if you are developing some kind of application, so what are the basically challenges that you may face? So first is scalability. So scalability is also one of the constraint in IoT devices, because IoT devices are basically low computing devices. So there is a basically limit. On that particular limit, you cannot scale a particular device. Second one is technological standardization. If you are using Raspberry Pi board, so their specification is different. If you are using Arduino board, so their specification is different. Or if you are using some kind of different hardware platform, so their specification will be different. So this is also one of the challenges in IoT. Third one is interoperability. It means that how we can communicate a number of sensors among each other. So it's also a challenge kind of thing. Discovery of devices, software complexity, data volumes, interpretations, power supply issues, interaction and short range communications. Because like if you are using low constraint devices, so you will be using like Zigbee protocol. So we cannot use Bluetooth protocol or Bluetooth or Wi-Fi kind of thing. You can use Zigbee due to the low computing power constraint and low power constraint. So wireless communication is also a challenge, one of the challenges in IoT. Next is fault tolerance. What will happen like if one of your sensor fails? So that is also one of the challenges. And one of the most important challenges, I will discuss it later also, the security challenges. Next is criticism and controversies of IoT. So scholars, social observers, and pessimists have doubts about the promises of ubiquitous computing revolution in the area. So there are certain controversies regarding with the IoTs, like privacy issues, security issues, autonomy and control, social control, political manipulations are also there, and design issues, environmental impact, influences human moral decision making. So it basically varies from device to device. So now we will discuss about in very brief what are the basically different IoT security issues, or what are the basically different issues regarding in IoTs. So first issue is legacy software and hardware in IoT. So if you purchase about some kind of devices, so it is you also came to know that it is very difficult to update this kind of software. It is not like mobile. Like we are basically in mobile, we are basically updating our OS. So in IoT, it is not possible, because in IoT, computing power is quite less. So it is not capable to update itself. So it's also one of the main issues or crucial issues if you are using IoT devices. Second one is direct connect to internet. Some of the devices are just connect to internet. So in that case, our security may also security breaches may be increased. Second one is industrial IoT oblique consumer IoT. So there are basically two classes of IoT. If you are using some kind of home automation kind of thing, Alexa and smartwatches, these kind of things, so you are using consumer IoT. Similarly, there are certain specific IoTs are implemented or developed for industry also. So you need to very specific about for which IoT or which IoT platform or which IoT domain you are basically developing your applications. Fourth one is lightweight encryption. Because IoT are basically low computing, low power devices, so you cannot use RSA encryption or SHA secure hash algorithm encryption. This kind of encryption you cannot implement. So we have to go for different curve application or juke kind of application. So these are basically low computing. This kind of encryption require very low computing power. So we have to use this kind of encryption. But again, problem arises that if you are using this kind of low lightweight encryption, so it may be possible that some kind of hacker or some kind of intruder may easily access your device. Next one is IoT gateway should block the unauthorized access. So this is basically needed if you are using some kind of IoT gateway to establish a communication between n number of IoT devices. So the particular IoT gateway should be able to restrict unauthorized access. Next is basically recommendations. There is a basically search engine just like Google. So the name of search engine is Shodan. So you can use Shodan search engine if you are using some kind of search engine optimization, or you are using some kind of you are basically developing some kind of applications which takes the data or which extract the data from search engine. In that case, don't go for Google. You can easily use Shodan search engine, which is available open. So it is basically open source and also available for IoT. Next is regulations for IoT manufacturers. Like we are basically seeing there are a number of smart TV providers are there, and different types of IoT providers are also there. So there should be a common regulations for all those kind of IoT providers. Right now, if you are buying a LG TV, LG Smart TV, so they'll be following their own specification. So if you want to develop some IoT application, so you have to follow LG specification. And if you want to integrate the particular device to Samsung, so it is not possible. So there is a need of some kind of common regulation so that your IoT device will be compatible for all kind of manufacturer. Next is distributed attack in IoT. So it is also possible because in IoT we have seen that encryption is also lightweight and security is not at that level that we are basically using in our hardware like laptop or some kind of server we are basically using. So distributed attack or also so IoT devices are basically prone to distributed attack. Next one is Alexa issue. The Alexa or any kind of voice control devices, because this kind of devices are keep listening your private conversation also, and they are basically continuously sending this kind of private conversation to Amazon Cloud or whatever the provider is. So this is also a point of security based kind of thing, because any hacker or any intruder can access this kind of information. So if you are using some kind of voice control system, so this kind of issues may also arises. And once the break trust equal to break complete system, and once your trust is break, once consumer trust is break, so whole system will be broken. Like if you see that recently there was a case in Tesla car. There was some kind of accident that was basically happened in Tesla car. So this particular incident may if it keeps on happening, so ultimately customers lose the trust all over this kind of devices. So they will not buy Tesla car if this kind of incident or this kind of accidents keep on happening. So these are the main security issues or main issues regarding IoT devices. Next, very briefly, I will tell you about what are the current research topics in IoT. So first is malware detection in IoT. So just like I've given an example of Tesla car, so we can actually develop some kind of application which can only execute trusted modules which are basically running on hardware profilers. So this kind of applications we can develop. So we have to embed some kind of deep learning or machine learning platform like SVM, decision tree, random forest, or these are basically machine learning platform. If you're talking about deep learning platform, so we can go for deep belief network or CNN or GAIN kind of platform we can easily use. Second topic is blockchain. We can also introduce the concept of blockchain because it's also hot topic right now. So we can also introduce the concept of blockchain in IoT also, because in IoT also communication takes place in the form of packets. So we can track this kind of packets and we can form a chain of these packets, and we can easily authenticate what is the we can say that the authenticated chain and what is basically unauthorized chain chain of packets. So if you are sharing some kind of image, so image sharing among IoT devices, so we can easily implement blockchain concept in this kind of scenario. So sharing would be done on the basis of node hash value, contract node, and hash value of images. So we blockchain concept we can also implement in IoT. Next is if you are thinking about development of some kind of e-learning app in IoT, so you can easily develop. So with the help of ontology web-based language, that is OWL, or resource description framework RDF, you can easily develop a platform which will automatically collect the data from the internet and convert it into RDF form, because RDF is basically very we can say that low cost we can say that framework, or the size of particular data in RDF is quite less as compared to other format. So later on we can convert RDF to EPUB format and we can easily provide this kind of data to particular user. So e-learning, if you're thinking of developing some kind of applications of e-learning, so you can also do this. So there are a number of topics of remaining, but I think we are running out of time. So now I will switch back to my next topic, that is installation of OpenCV in Raspberry Pi, or what is Raspberry Pi board. So if time permits, then I will explain other topics also. But right now I'm basically switching to my next topic. I think at that particular time, you will be able to understand what is IoT. So IoT is nothing but a consolidation of n number of things. It contains sensor, it contains communication, it contains networks, it contains so many things. So we need some kind of software platform also, and we need some kind of hardware platform also to integrate and to communicate with this kind of sensor or this kind of devices. So I'll be talking about one such hardware platform, that is Raspberry Pi. So in this talk, we will discuss about introduction to Raspberry Pi, how to basically prepare a particular board. If you are using Raspberry Pi, so we have to first prepare the particular board. So OS installation and what are the steps to install OS in Raspberry Pi, we will learn. Second one is basic Linux command. I will not cover this particular topic, but I will show you some of the basic Linux command, because in Raspberry Pi we are basically using Linux OS as a main OS. So you will be comfortable about the Linux. Next is installation of OpenCV. And last one is there are different products that are basically developed with the help of these OpenCV libraries and different IoT platforms. So I will also demonstrate this kind of product. So first is, what is Raspberry Pi? So Raspberry Pi is basically, this is a basically Raspberry Pi. It's a basically board. It's a board. So with the help of this board, you can integrate a number of sensors to this board, and you can process with the help of operating system and other APIs. You can process this kind of information. So we will cover all these topics. So first we will try to understand what is this Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi is basically a small single board computer. By connecting peripherals like keyboard, mouse, display to Raspberry Pi, it will act as a mini personal computer. So Raspberry Pi basically, we can say that it's a basically small computer. It is having its own computing power, like just like in our laptop, we'll be having i3 processor, we'll be having RAM or 8 GB or 4 GB, and we'll be having a storage of 1 TB kind of thing. So in the similar way, Raspberry Pi is also a board which is having a computing power like 1.2 gigahertz to 1.5 gigahertz. It is having its own RAM, like 2 GB, 4 GB, and it is having its own hard disk. So in the simplest way, you can assume that it's a basically small computer. Second one is Raspberry Pi is popularly used for real-time or image processing, IoT-based application, and robotics application. So there are basically two. Normally, when you program in IoT, so there are basically two boards are popular. First is Arduino board. Second one is Raspberry Pi board. So if you are developing some kind of application which requires low computing, in that case you can go for Arduino board. In that case, you don't need to go for Raspberry Pi board. But if you are dealing with some kind of application which requires high computing, so in that case we need Raspberry Pi board. So all the computer vision applications or robotic applications, these kind of applications basically requires high computing power. So in that case, we have to go for Raspberry Pi board. Third point is Raspberry Pi is slower than laptop or desktop, but it is still a computer which can provide all the expected features or abilities at the low power consumption. Because it's a basically smart board, so you cannot compare with laptop. Because in laptop, what is the configuration of our laptop? So i3, i5, i7 processor. So they are not having this kind of processor. They are having quad-core processor, but their frequency is quite low, 1.2 gigahertz, 1.5 gigahertz. So it is not like laptop or desktop, but it is, we can say that it is basically equivalent to these machines. Last point is Raspberry Pi Foundation officially provides Debian-based Raspberry OS. So as I already told you, like all the most of the OS which are basically using we use in Raspberry Pi are Linux-based. So you must be comfortable about the Linux. Recently, Windows 10 has also launched their IoT OS, which is called Windows 10 IoT. So you can install Windows 10 IoT also, but I will recommend you to go for Linux version, because if you are using Windows, so Windows itself consumes so many computing power as well as RAM. So if you're using Linux, so Linux basically require less computing power. So there are a number of boards available. It basically depends on person to person, like for which board you want to go. So the most common board, the most recent board is available in the market is Raspberry Pi 4. So recently they have launched Raspberry Pi 4 model, and I basically shown the specification of different models like Raspberry Pi model B plus. So as you can see, they are basically using some kind of ARM processor. So Raspberry Pi B plus model, they are basically using ARM 11. In 2 model, they are basically using quad Cortex processor. 3 A5 model, and Raspberry Pi Zero. Raspberry Pi Zero basically a very small chip. The size of particular board is quite less than the Arduino board, and you can also use Raspberry Pi Zero model also. So as you can see, the frequency and the capability of Raspberry Pi model Zero model is quite less. Next one is operating frequency. So as you can see, right now we are basically using processor which is having computing power is like 3.2 gigahertz or 3 gigahertz. But this kind of board is not having that particular capability. So like in model B plus, the operating frequency is 700 megahertz. In Raspberry Pi 2 model, operating frequency is like 900 megahertz. 3 model is 1.2 gigahertz. And right now, the latest model Raspberry Pi 4, it is having operating frequency of 1.5 gigahertz. But it is sufficient. It is sufficient if you are developing some kind of IoT application. It is more than sufficient. Next point is RAM. So RAM basically ranges from 512 MB to up to 4 GB or 8 GB. Right now, they are basically also supporting 8 GB of RAM in Raspberry Pi 4 model. So you can also go for it. And there are also chips, those are embedded on particular board. So GPU chips are also there. And another thing is storage. So in this particular board, storage, there is a socket of micro SD socket, just like in our mobile phone. So we have to insert a micro SD chip which will act as a hard disk. So we have to you have to buy 32 GB or 16 GB or 64 GB according to your need. So you have to basically buy some kind of micro SD chip. So we will install all kind of application, APIs, operating system in the particular chip. So that particular chip will act as a hard disk. And the particular board is having capability to connect with the internet with the help of Ethernet. So Ethernet card is also there, Ethernet port is also there, and also different other wireless platforms are also there, like Wi-Fi chips is also there, Bluetooth chip is also there. So if you want to connect to any Bluetooth device or any Wi-Fi device to particular IoT, so you can easily done that. So first thing is we have to purchase this particular board. So if you want to purchase a particular board, so this particular board is available on Amazon also. You have to just type Raspberry Pi purchase. So as you can see, there are n number of providers by which you can purchase a particular board, like Amazon. So if you want to buy Raspberry Pi 4 board, so you can easily buy with the using Amazon platform. Apart from this, raspberrypi.org itself, they basically provide all kind of boards. So this is the Raspberry Pi 4 latest model. So as you can see, the computing power of this particular board is 1.5 gigahertz. The RAM is 4 GB, and this is the board. So when you order this particular board, you will not, they will not provide you storage. Please keep this particular thing in mind. Micro SD will not be provided. If you buy a particular board, you have to purchase the micro SD card separately. Next one is what is the comparison between Raspberry Pi and Arduino. So as I already told, if you are developing some kind of applications which require low computing, in that case you can go for Arduino board. So as you can see, the clock speed of Arduino board is basically 16 megahertz. So it's basically in megahertz. And recently we have seen about the clock speed of particular Raspberry Pi 4 board is 1.5 gigahertz. So this is the main difference between two boards. As you can see, flash memory of Arduino board is 32 KB, and flash memory of Raspberry Pi basically depends on your micro SD capacity of your micro SD card. And these are the some of the other voltage criteria and other things. Like if you're using Arduino, you don't need any kind of OS, but if you're using Raspberry Pi, in that case we need some kind of operating system, and normally it's basically Linux operating system. And in case of Arduino board, you can do the development with the help of Arduino IDE. But in case of Raspberry Pi, you can develop the application with the help of Python IDE, that is idle or other kind of platforms. So this is the board ultimately that I'll be talking about. This is a basically recent model of Raspberry Pi 4, that is model 4. So as you can see there, it is a basically processor. So right now the computing power of this particular processor is 1.5 gigahertz. These are basically RAM chips. So Raspberry Pi model comes into 3 flavor: 2 GB, 4 GB, or 8 GB RAM. This one is USB-C power supply. So whenever you want to activate this particular board, you need to plug the power supply. So USB-C power supply you have to plug. As soon as you plug the particular power supply, the board will automatically boot. Next is it is basically having 2 HDMI port. So parallelly we can connect 2 monitors to this particular board. This is the audio jack, and this particular section it basically used for connecting Raspberry Pi camera. So if you are developing some kind of computer vision application, in that case you have to purchase separately Raspberry Pi camera, and we can integrate Raspberry Pi camera. We can with the help of ribbon cable to this particular socket. Next is it is basically having 2 USB 2.0 port and 2 USB 3.0 port, and one is Ethernet port. Apart from this, it is also capable of connecting Bluetooth devices, as well as it is having the capabilities to connect with Wi-Fi devices also. So whenever you order a Raspberry Pi board, please remember one thing: they will only provide you board. They will not provide any other accessories or any other kind of thing. So you have to buy it separately. So if you need a storage, in that case you have to separately buy micro SD card of your choice. And these are basically general purpose IO pins. So with the help of these pins, we can basically integrate different kind of sensors to it. So this is a complete setup. So this is our board. Okay. So if you buy a particular board, you cannot do anything. In that case, you have to buy accessories also. So as you can see, it is basically having 4 USB ports. So you have to separately buy mouse, USB mouse. You have to separately buy USB keyboard. Okay. Then you can either go for micro SD card or you can go for external hard disk also. There is you can go according to your need, but I will recommend you to go for micro SD card. Next one is you have to connect your board to some kind of display devices. So as you can see in Raspberry Pi 4 model, they are basically providing two HDMI port. And if you are going for some older model, so they are basically providing only one HDMI port. So one HDMI port is more than sufficient. Two is not that needed. So with the help of this HDMI port, you can see the output of particular board on a particular monitor. So this is very crucial if you are very new in this particular area. So please keep in mind that you have to buy this kind of thing. Like you have to buy mouse, you have to buy keyboard, you have to buy their micro SD card, and lastly you have to attach or your Raspberry Pi board to some kind of HDMI devices. So right now all the LEDs TVs are basically HDMI compatible. In all the LED TVs, they are basically having more than one HDMI port. So we have to basically attach that particular LED TV to our Raspberry Pi board. Otherwise, you will not be able to uh, you will not be able to see the output of particular board, because it's basically computer. As you can see, it's basically computer. So you don't need a computer. Like if you are having the Raspberry Pi, and if you are not developing a very high kind of application, so you can simply buy a board. The cost of board is 3,000 to 4,000, and if you buy on Amazon, so the cost will be more as compared to if you buy on particular local market. So local market, the cost will be less as compared to Amazon. So in 3,000 or 4,000, you can buy a mini computer kind of thing, or a small computer kind of thing to a particular home. So I think now we will clear about this kind of accessories. So we have to buy this kind of accessories separately. So if you when you integrate all this kind of accessories, then you will complete setup or will be organized. Next is Raspberry Pi model board model case. So as you can see, this is the board. When you order a particular board, so you will be getting this particular board. So if you are developing some kind of IoT application, so this particular board looks not so attractive. So in that case, you can also buy a Raspberry Pi case. So this case you have to buy separately. So you can place a particular board inside that case, and you can peg it. So in this case, the looks of particular board is quite attractive. So now we will discuss the important concept, that is OS installation in Raspberry Pi. So right now we'll be having a board which is connected to HDMI display, and we have also bought the accessories like USB keyboard, USB mouse, and we have basically placed a micro SD card of 32 GB in that particular slot. So first we have to select the OS. There are n number of choices of OS that are available on the market or available in the platforms, like Ubuntu platform. If you are comfortable with Ubuntu Linux, you can install Ubuntu Linux or Raspberry OS, or you can if you're comfortable with Windows, so you can also install Windows OS. But I will not recommend to install Windows 10 OS, because it basically consumes so many power. So first you have to select the OS. So the official OS for Raspberry Pi board is Raspberry OS. It is recently called Raspberry Pi OS. So first you have to download this particular OS. So second method that I will recommend you to install using Noobs method. So what you will do, you simply go to Google and type Noobs download. So as you can see, you'll be having an option of download Noobs for Raspberry Pi. Simply click on it. So Noobs, what is Noobs? So Noobs is basically a installer. It is not the operating system. You know, Noobs is not the operating system. It's basically installer for Raspberry Pi operating system. So it's basically offline installer. So first you need to download this particular zip file. So size of particular zip file is 2.3 GB. So first you have to download the particular zip file. So when you click on download zip, so downloading will start, and you will be having a zip file which is called nope.zip. So this is our first step. So first step is basically to download this nope offline installer. Next step is if you want to install Ubuntu OS image, so you need to again download the Ubuntu OS. So I will not recommend to go for that if you are using the first time. So I will recommend you to download Noob's image. So simply download Noob's image, and next thing that you have to do is prepare your SD card. So what you actually do, with the help of micro SD card reader, you simply put that particular card to your laptop and format it using FAT32 partition type. So it's basically default type. So you don't need to change that particular type while formatting. So you have to format the card with the help with this particular option FAT32. Next thing you have to do is extract the complete files of noobs.zip into mounted SD card. So just click on the particular noobs.zip that we have recently downloaded. Right click on it and extract the particular files onto micro SD card. And we are done. And if you want to install different images like Ubuntu OS or Windows IoT image, in that case you need some kind of software which is called Imager. So Raspberry Pi Imager is also available. It is also available for Linux, Windows, or any other platform. So with the help of this Imager, you can prepare the micro SD card with different OS. So we will not covering this. I will recommend you to simply download noobs.zf and extract all the files into micro SD card. Next is, if you want that while installing your particular Raspberry Pi should connect to internet, in that case, just simply open this micro SD card and open that particular file, network config, and edit this particular file with the help of Notepad and change the setting to Wi-Fi network name. Change the setting to your home network. What is the whatever the name of your particular home network? Simply type here and password of particular home network. So if you modify that particular file network config, so at the time of installation, your Raspberry Pi will connect to internet. If you don't want to connect to internet, then there is no need to do this particular step. Next is simply mount this particular SD card to your Raspberry Pi socket, as I basically shown in particular figure. Mount it and connect your Raspberry Pi to HDMI screen because we want to see the output of this particular OS installation, and attach all the accessories like USB keyboard, USB mouse, and simply power on the Pi. Simply connect the USB-C connector power supply to Pi. Pi will automatically start. There is no like button kind of thing by which you can on and off Pi. Whenever as soon as you insert the particular USB-C card power supply, it will automatically start it. Next thing is you have to simply follow the on-screen instructions and you are done. So this screen you will see first time. So when you mount the particular SD card, you simply boot your Raspberry Pi. So you will see this kind of a screen. So you have to just check on Raspberry checkbox and click on install button simply. After that, automatically the complete OS file will be extracted to your Raspberry Pi and your Raspberry Pi will be ready. So that particular operating system will be stored on your Raspberry Pi. It is very simple. It is very simple. You have to just select Raspberry Pi and click on install button. Automatically, all the file will be extracted on your board, and the particular operating system will be loaded on your Raspberry Pi. So this is the home screen of particular OS, Raspberry OS. So Raspberry OS is basically a Linux. So you should be comfortable about the basic Linux commands. So this is the menu. So as you can see, programming contains Python. So it is basically inbuilt. It is having inbuilt Python. So there is no need to install the Python. Then some educational softwares are there. Office is also there. It is having its own browser. Some graphic applications is there. So first thing, when you see this particular interface, you have to access Raspberry Pi configuration file. So in this configuration file, what are the different interfaces? Those are attached to your Raspberry Pi board. You can change the settings. So interface setting or Raspberry Pi configuration setting can also be changed with the help of this particular Raspberry Pi configuration file. Like if you want to enable serial port, or if you want to enable the camera, like you basically purchase the Raspberry Pi camera, and you basically integrated the particular camera to your board. You attach this particular camera to your board, and you want that the particular camera should be able to record something or capture the some images or something. In that case, you have to manually enable the camera. If you don't enable the camera, in that case the camera will not be enabled, and you will not see any kind of display in that particular camera. So in programming, as I already told you, Python, as you can see, Python 3. So Python is already inbuilt part of this particular Raspberry OS, so no need to install it separately. Next is, suppose you are not having a particular HDMI screen to your home or certain places. So in that case, you can also remotely connect to Raspberry Pi, but in that case, your interface will be look like command line interface, just like this. So it is basically called command line interface or CLI. So you can also access your Raspberry Pi with this kind of mode. In that case, what you have to do, this is needed in those kind of cases in which you are not having the particular device with you. HDMI device I'm talking about. So if you want to remotely access your Raspberry Pi, in that case, first you should know about the what is the IP address, local IP address of your particular Raspberry Pi. So right now I am assuming that your Raspberry Pi is connected to your desktop or your laptop with the help of cable, LAN cable. So first you need to understand first we need to know about what is the IP address of particular Raspberry Pi board. So if you are using Linux, so this is my Linux system. So you have to run this command arp-ina. So when you type arp-na, which is network address translation, so in that case you will be seeing this output. This question mark, then some IP addresses 8. This is hardware address, ether on something name. So you have to extract this. This is IP address. So this is the IP address of our Raspberry Pi board. Like in my case, it is 192.168.225.1. So first you need to know about what is the IP address of your particular board. Next, if you are using a Linux, in that case simply type SSH. SSH command basically used to remotely connect to any particular device. So SSH, and if you are using Ubuntu or Raspberry Pi, whatever the OS you basically installed, so simply type Raspberry @ and IP address of particular Raspberry Pi board. So in our case, it is 192.168 something. So when you type this, it will basically ask for password. So simply type the password. By default, it is pi. And when you press enter, so you will be having this kind of screen, this CLI screen. So we will not having any kind of GUI kind of thing. So with the help of, if you are comfortable with command line arguments or command line commands, this kind of thing, so you can easily operate your Raspberry Pi remotely also. Otherwise, you can simply connect with your HDMI display. These are some basic Linux commands, so you should be familiar with the Linux commands. So I will not discuss this kind of command, but you should be familiar about this kind of command like cdmd rd pw present working directory, and how to store some packages in Linux. And if you want to edit a particular file, so gedit. So these kind of things you should be comfortable about. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to work in Linux. Till now, we have basically installed, we have purchased the Raspberry Pi board, we have purchased the basically different accessories, we have integrated those accessories to Raspberry Pi board, we have prepared our micro SD card, and till now we have basically successfully installed Raspberry OS to our Raspberry Pi. So now next step, to install OpenCV library to your Raspberry Pi. So with the help of OpenCV library, different kind of image processing operations you can easily done. Right now you heard about OCR, optical character recognition, or handwritten recognition, or reading a number plate, or reading a particular face, or object detection. So any kind of computer vision application that you think you can easily achieve with the help of OpenCV library. So I'm not covering this kind of thing. It only says that how basically computer reads a particular image. So it basically reads the image in the form of RGB array. So OpenCV basically a Python library which is designed to solve computer vision problems. As I have already told, right now it is one of the most popular libraries in field of computer vision. So if you are dealing with computer vision, you must be knowing this particular library. And it is open source, so there is no need to purchase a license to work in this particular library. So if you want to install OpenCV on your computer, so first, if you are using a Windows machine, in that case, this particular library we can also install in Windows, Linux, and different platform, because it's basically used for computer vision. So if you are using Windows machine, so first you need to install Python, and after that you need to just type pip install OpenCV contrib Python. So it will automatically install OpenCV library. If you are using a Linux, so there are certain dependencies you have to first install, and then simply type sudo, which is super user. So super user do pip install OpenCV contrib Python. So with the help of this single command, OpenCV library will be automatically installed in your board. There are basically two methods. This is the simplest method I am talking about, and second one is you can also install different. You can basically install a recent library of OpenCV from source also. So suppose you have basically installed this particular library and you want to check that the particular library is successfully installed or not. So simply open your terminal. I'm basically using Linux. So in Linux, simply type Python. So it's basically Python interpreter. And next, import CV2. Okay. Next command type CV2 __ version __. Sorry, dot. CV2 dot __ version __. So if you see this kind of output like 4.2.0, so it's basically library version of particular OpenCV library. So if you see this kind of output, it means you successfully installed OpenCV on your machine. Now you have to just simply start coding, and you can run all kind of OpenCV programs on your machine. And if you don't see this kind of output, it means there are certain problems and you need to reinstall the particular OpenCV library on your machine. So command is import cv2, next is cv2 dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. So in Linux or Raspberry Pi board, you have to simply type sudo pip install opencv hyphen contrib hyphen python. So it will automatically install all the libraries of opencv into your board. Next is there is second option also. If you want, like if you need the latest version of opencv, so in that case you need to compile it from source. So it's a basically tedious process. So these are the basically n number of commands you have to type. So I will not cover that, but I'm just providing you the glimpse. Like you need to type all these kind of commands and you need to resolve all kind of dependencies, because in Linux, whatever software you are installing, you need to first resolve the dependencies. Like that right now basically I am basically using Zoom on Linux. So you cannot simply install Zoom on Linux. You have to first resolve so many dependencies. After resolving dependencies, you can simply install the Zoom. Next, with the help of wget command, you will download the latest source of particular OpenCV. Then you have to install NumPy. So these are the steps. Like this kind of steps are only needed if you want to compile the OpenCV library from its source. Otherwise, you don't need this kind of thing. And once you are done, simply type Python in the terminal and import the cv2 library and type cv2 dot hyphen hyphen version hyphen hyphen. So you will get the output of particular what is the version of particular OpenCV library. And if you see the output, it means you are done. You have successfully installed the OpenCV library. And let me tell you one more thing. If you are compiling from source, so in that case, it will require I think 4 to 5 hours to install this particular library. And this last command make hyphen j4. So if you want to try it on your home or on your Raspberry Pi board, so make hyphen j4 means since I'm basically using a quad core Raspberry Pi board that is 3 plus model and 4 model. So all these models are basically quad core CPU enabled. So quad meaning it is having 4 CPUs. So make hyphen j4, it means you want that this particular installation should consume all the 4 CPU. So it might be possibility that your particular Raspberry Pi may hang. So to avoid this, simply use make hyphen j2. So it will basically take some more time, but it will not hang your screen. So till now we have basically installed OpenCV libraries on our board. So now I will since some time is remaining, so I will show you some of the applications that basically we have developed with the help of this Raspberry Pi board. So first application is Project Helios. So this IoT application is basically meant for visually impaired person, or we can say the blind persons, because they cannot see. So in that case, what we have done, as you can see, this particular person is wearing some kind of gadgets. So what we have done is we have basically bought a stick, blind stick, and we have basically placed the ultrasonic sensors to bottom of particular stick. Mm, like this one. So in that particular stick, we have basically placed ultrasonic sensor. So with the help of ultrasonic sensor, we can calculate the distance of particular object. Next, what we have done is uh, on the particular glass, we have basically embedded a Raspberry Pi camera. So with the help of Raspberry Pi camera, we can detect the particular face. So whenever any object or obstacle comes into a blind person path, so with the help of ultrasonic sensor, the distance, we calculate the distance and what is the a value of particular distance will be conveyed to a particular visually impaired person with the help of earphone. So we have basically embedded this Raspberry Pi camera and ultrasonic sensor to Raspberry Pi board, and we have kept all these kind of complexities into backpack. As you can see, this particular person is wearing a backpack. So in this particular backpack, we'll be having Raspberry Pi board plus power bank and other wires and other things. So only the visual impaired person should be wearing only a glass and that particular stick. So what you need, so all you need is Raspberry Pi board. Second one is OpenCV library, because we are basically detecting the face of particular person. So anytime the particular person comes in the sensor region of Raspberry Pi camera, so that particular thing will say one face detected. And also, if in case of any obstacle, the particular obstacle distance will be calculated and also conveyed to particular blind person. So all you need is Pi camera. So as you can see, the configuration of Pi camera is 8 megapixel, a Pi board and ultrasonic sensor. So cost of this particular product is around 12,000 something. So we have basically used Raspberry Pi 3 plus 3B plus model, and next is Raspberry Pi camera, USB battery pack, flex cable, wire roll, ultrasonic sensor. The cost of ultrasonic sensor is quite less. As you can see, it is only 275 INR. Walking cane and earphone. So these are the basically specifications and hardware requirements of our particular product. And our this particular product also selected in startup Istanbul challenge. So we also went to Istanbul for startup. Let me show you one video also regarding this product. So as you can see, all the complexities are basically hidden in the backpack. So this kind of product you can also develop. So if you are comfortable with this kind of APIs, OpenCV computer vision APIs. Second important thing that I just forgot to tell you, like if you are developing any kind of IoT applications, we need sensors. So there are a number of sensors available, like moisture sensor, ultrasonic sensor, or motion detecting sensors. So these kind of sensors are basically difficult to get. So if you are facing any kind of difficulties to get this kind of sensor, so there is a very important website that is called Adafruit. Simply note down this particular website, Adafruit. This is one of the world's most popular website in case of if you want to buy some kind of electronic items. Simply visit to this particular website, go to products, and there are a number of products are available. As you can see, you can also buy different kind of boards also. Simply go to sensor. So as you can see, there are a number of sensors are available, different classes of sensors, like weight sensors are there, gyro sensors are there, biometric sensors are there, cameras, gas sensors are there, humidity sensor, photo sensor, liquid sensor, location sensor, proximity sensor, touch sensors. So on the basis of your applications, whatever sensors you are needing, you can easily purchase those kind of sensor in this particular website. Only thing is, since this particular website is US based, so you have to provide the shipping charges. Shipping charges, and some of the cases you have to also pay the excise duty, since the particular product is coming from different countries. So I will recommend you, if you want to buy one or two items, then in that case don't visit this particular site. But if you want to buy a number of items or bulk items, so in that case you can easily buy using Adafruit site. It is having all the recent developments in IoT, and all the latest sensors are also available. Like if you see biometric sensor, so as you can see, different types of biometric sensors are available. If you see this kind of notification like out of stock, so don't worry, simply click on notify me that the particular item, whenever the particular item will be in stock, they will notify you. So this is a very good site for IoT kind of products. Next, since we are running out of time, I will show you one more applications, that is we have just recently developed to monitor the attendance of our staff. So with the help of OpenCV library, what we have done, we have captured the images of our staff, and with the help of deep learning libraries, we have trained our model. So whenever any staff comes into the range of Raspberry Pi camera, so automatically his or her attendance we are basically capturing. So just I'm providing you simply a demo of this particular thing. So right now I basically trained this particular model with the available faces. As you can see, it is not only detecting my face but also my name. It is showing Dharam. So this particular software we already implemented in our college. So with the help of this OpenCV library, you can easily detect the face. But if you want to recognize a particular person, so in that case you need some kind of machine learning or deep learning algorithms. So if you are comfortable with that, you can easily code this kind of product. So you can easily identify a particular person also. So there are other other applications also. For what I think is we are running out of time. So I think I can conclude my sessions here. There is one more important application that we have developed with the help of this Mindwave scanner. But I think we are running out of time, so I will not be able to show that particular application to right now. So till now, what we have done is we have basically discussed about the basic concepts of IoT, and how we can purchase a particular board, how we can prepare a particular board, Raspberry Pi board, and how we can install one of the most popular library of computer vision, that is OpenCV. And if you want to develop this kind of application, so you must be comfortable about the Python, as well as if you want to learn machine learning kind of thing, so you are also comfortable. You should also comfortable with machine learning and deep learning algorithms. So this is done from my side. I think we can take some questions from here.
Thank you so much, sir. There are some questions in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, there is a question from Abhay Pratap Singh. Can we build object detection model with Arduino board?
No, we cannot detect because these kind of libraries, OpenCV libraries, are basically very complex library, and we need some kind of advanced computing, like higher computing devices. We need. So in with the help of Arduino board, you cannot develop. You cannot. You can basically develop like dustbin, garbage, intelligent dustbin. This kind of projects you can develop with the help of Arduino, but this kind of face detection library and face identification, human identification, you cannot develop with the help of Arduino board. You must need, in that case, Raspberry Pi board, because it is high amount of computing.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question from Abhay Pratap only, that, sir, have you built this using Keras and OpenCV?
Yes, yes. Look, for if you are using OpenCV, so OpenCV is basically APIs, but it itself provides so many codes. Like face detection code, it automatically provides. So there is no need to code the library for face detection. But if you want to identify a person, just like in my example, they basically identified me. What is my name? So in that case, we need Keras and TensorFlow library for machine learning kind of thing.
Okay. Sir, there is another question that what API is suitable for building the object detection systems?
That recently I have discussed OpenCV library. OpenCV library itself is capable of doing so many things. If you are developing projects to scan OCR kind of thing, or object character recognition, or if you want to scan a particular number plate of particular vehicle, and if you want to identify any product or any person, so all this kind of, if your application is basically based on computer vision, so simply learn OpenCV library and you are good to go.
Okay, sir. Sir, there is another question from.
Now all the mobiles are coming with USB 3 connector kind of thing. So if with the help of this connector, they can use they can get the benefit of fast charging. So you heard about the concept of fast charging. You don't need to put your mobile on 1 or 2 hours to completely charge. So with the help of USB-C kind of thing, you can easily develop. And if you are talking about the standards like USB 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, so these are basically different standards. So in your laptop or desktop, you've seen about there are different ports. So a black port, if you are seeing a black USB port, it means it is basically USB 2.0. So what is USB 2.0? USB 2.0 basically that is basically shows the data transfer speed. Right now the latest thing is USB 3.0. So if your laptop supports, it's basically blue port. If you see your laptop or desktop, if you see a blue port, it means that your laptop is having a USB 3.0 support. So with the help of USB 3.0, the data transfer speed of USB 3.0 is much higher as compared to USB 2.0. So this is the basically main difference between these USB standards.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there is another question from Vinita Kushwa. Explain little bit about API.
API is nothing. API is application programming interface. What is API? Suppose I think you are comfortable with Java. So in Java, you are developing one program like facedetect.java. Second time you are basically developing one more program like objectdetect.java or persondetect.java. So API is basically packages. In these packages, you will be having n number of Java files. So on the basis of your need, you can use any kind of Java file. So API is just basically interface, or we can say the packages, and in those packages you will be having a number of individual files, and on the basis of user need, you can call any particular file. So OpenCV is basically API for computer vision. So in OpenCV, you will see there are n number of folders are there. So on the basis of your need, if you want to detect edges of particular object, in that case only we need edge detector file. So in that case, we will only call import edgedetector.py. So in that case, we don't need face detection.py file. So this is just a package.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there is last question from Abhay Pratap Singh. What is YOLO V5?
Yellow V5.
Yes, YOLO YOLO V5.
No, I don't know about this. I think it's some kind of interface. This is an interface, so it basically depends on some kind of sensor, I think.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing great knowledge with all of us. Now, it's my pleasure to invite Professor Chandan Kumar for voting, as well as for giving thanks to expert.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Audible, sir.
Thank you. As a coordinator of this event, I thank you so much, sir, for this informative and great session, which enhanced our knowledge about IoT with Raspberry Pi and Python. I hope that all students, research scholars, and faculties are now aware about the importance of mentioned topic. I appreciate, sir, for your very valuable time and patience you have shown today. Again, behalf of our Truba faculty, I am thanking you so much, sir, for being this. Now I must start a word of thanks. First of all, I would like to give heartfelt gratitude to Dr. S. Chaube, TechCube 3 coordinator RG Gopal, for giving us the opportunity for conducting a great session. I am also very much thankful to Sri Syam Rathore, BOG member, Truba Group of Institutes Bhopal, for his continuous support and advices which greatly help us towards the success event. I am very pleased to thank Professor Manojit Tyagi, HOD CSE, and in charge principal, Truba College of Science and Technology, for his inspiring mentorship and continuous support. I am also very pleased to thank Professor Asmi Singh, HOD Basic Science, Truba College of Science and Technology, for her advice and guidelines. Again, I am also very happy to thank Professor Irfan Khan, Assistant Professor, Computer Science and Engineering Department, Cuba College of Science and Technology, for his coordination for conducting this event. With these words, I would like to thank our subject expert and speaker, Professor Dharmendra Pathak, Assistant Professor, Chamiri Devi Group of Institution Indore, for delivering a wonderful session with excellent presentations and making this event interesting and meaningful. Last but not the least, I would like to thank to my colleague, Professor Sona Yadav ma'am, who has given her best time in organizing this one-day workshop. Again, I thank you, ma'am, for your undemanding support and assistance for making this event successful. At last, I am extremely privileged to have you all participants here today. Feedback or attendance link is shared WhatsApp group, Zoom chat box, and on YouTube channel too. The link will be active till 7 p.m. today. Again, I am repeating the link of feedback attendance will be active till 7 p.m. today. I will also mail the complete information of today's sessions to all participants after some time. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Anand.
Hello. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, all the coordinators, Chandan sir, Irfan sir, and in charge principal and HOD of Computer Science, Manoj sir,
Thank you, sir.
for inviting me and providing me the opportunity to share my knowledge regarding with the topic.
It's our pleasure, sir, having you here. Thank you.
Since
Thank
this
you again.
particular
Thank you, sir.
okay, sir. Sir, actually, this particular topic is quite vast. So, like you have seen, I will not talk about the Python library or machine learning library. So maybe in future, if we have time, so I will also share about how we coding can be done in Python or with the help of OpenCV.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. We'll plan for that. You know.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Chandan sir. Chandan, shall
Ji,
we
sir.
end? Okay, sir. Okay.
हाँ Feedback link is already shared
Yes, sir. Already shared in group.
on YouTube channel.
Yes, sir. Also in YouTube channel.
Okay, okay. Then I think we should. Tyagi sir, should we leave the
Tyagi
meeting?
sir, Tyagi sir is not there.
Okay, no issue.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
should close the session. Thank you all.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.